The Funky Bobo's nuts. What are your thoughts on parallel universes and the Big Bang Theory? If you have time, I would love to hear them. Hope life is good. Peace. Thanks to you, the Funky Bobo nuts. I gotta laugh at that. I mean, you got a pretty interesting icon there for sure. Pretty big carrot there. Probably this universe came in with an explosion. So what? If you look at it from a spiritual viewpoint, this is just the supreme being in thought. That's all this is the mind of the supreme being. Unfortunately, it's its negative side. You know, within the supreme being, you have all things. All things exist within the one. There's no question. So when you think the supreme being is all love and mercy and joy, think again. All things come out of the one. Even the negative comes out of the one. Positive and negative are just the opposite sides of the same coin. So one just happens to be real negative, one just happens to be real positive. You can go way out on the positive side and still never find God. I mean, there's a point where you have to collapse both of them into the now to get beyond creation. And then you realize that it was just nothing. It was the thought processes of the Supreme Being creating something it can have some fun with, something it can do. Because if you think about it, if you're all that exists, you're going to endlessly create things to play with. You're like a kid that has no brothers or sisters, and a world of endless toys. So that's God in action, in that. But when you get to the heart, it's just a whole, consciousness is just a whole nother level of ecstasy and joy and thrill, because it's you. And you've been away so long from you that it's just pure joy and ecstasy to be you again. And it's amazing that the way that is. But these universes could have come in with one big thought. This is Anna Maria 2979. Dr. Morse, would you please make a video on blood analysis? I'm going to do that. I'm going to save it for the school for now, and we'll go over blood reports, and I'll show you how to read them for what we use out of them. A little insight there. We're not going to have massive biochemistry at this school. This school is about detoxification, but we're going to go over everything that I possibly can think of that as a practitioner that'll help you, and that you can use as tools, things to learn a little bit about. Just sometimes a little bit of knowledge in an area is all you need. You don't have to tear it apart, because we can't expect one person to know it all. There's no way. I didn't even go into essential oils because for me, they're real strong. I've got enough worry. Imagine me piling on to your herbal protocols, a bunch of essential oils, flower essences, a bunch of other stuff. Some of these naturopaths, when you leave their office, you've got a whole list, and none of it's worth a crap. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, and you've got a whole laundry list of stuff. Digestive enzymes, probiotics, algae. There's just a whole list of things, and none of it's tissue specific, and none of it will detoxify the human body. So you just spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and people complain about me, but look at these naturopaths, and I can tell you, naturopaths in Washington, D.C., their initial appointments were $700 or $800. So people have always, my fees have always been extremely reasonable considering what we can do for you. Most medical doctors an hour are probably, $7,300 basically, if you add $75 to $100 every 15 minutes. They're way up there. And my appointments are basically, I can do some half-hour appointments, but I don't like to. Mine's are hour to 2 hours, and I don't want to do appointments anymore in the first place. But I will do one on the video here, but we're gonna get really into this in the classwork when we take the test at what we should be looking and how we should interpret the results. Yeah, because one of the big things is your proteins are going to be a little low. Some of the stats. What would be interesting is to start running blood profiles on thousands of raw foodists to get some norms there, and especially after detoxification, to get some good norms of where creatinine would really be, where your bun would really be, which is your urea nitrogens, where your proteins would be, where, you know, basically where things would be in the normal ranges, because these normal ranges obviously are from very unhealthy people in most cases. Dr. Morse, my poor mother is anxiously awaiting your COPD video series. Do you still plan to do them? Well, let me say this. Let's talk about it right now, and then I'll do one on COPD in the lungs. Basically, I think I told you about an experience once where I was craving a chocolate malt, and I was craving it for about a month or so, and then I just caved in, and I went down to our mall here, and this has been probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and I went to this little ice cream place in the mall, and I said, do you make little baby malts for babies? And he said, looked at me kind of funny, and he said, well, yeah, and so I did. I got me a little baby chocolate malt. And I was drinking it while I was walking out of the mall to my truck, and I started getting a sore throat. So I knew I probably would from all the mucus from the ice cream crap. So I was getting a sore throat, so I threw the rest of it out, and I went home and got an apple and ate an apple. In about 5 minutes, big water mucus came up. No more sore throat. Now that's common. I've had that several times when I've cheated, and you know, it kicked my little butt, and so I cleaned the mucus out. Had I not known that, and I called up a friend of mine, a medical doctor, and I said, hey man, I caught something while I was walking in the mall drinking my milkshake, but I was drinking a big one. And so he said, well, come over, I'll give you a little antibiotic, blah, 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 blah. And so I suppressed my body's ability to expectorate this mucus, because remember, antibiotics are major lymphatic suppressants. So I suppressed my lymph system. Where did that mucus I created go then? Since I didn't put it out and I let it stay in, where did it go? The antibiotics pushed it deeper into my lymph system, my interstitial fluids. Well, that immediately creates a little bit of swelling. And unnoticeable initially. And so this mucus, the sputum, is starting to be shoved in the interstitial spaces around the cells. There's no other places to stick it except in the chambers. In the chambers, and then I went and I had another malt maybe a few days later. That one was pretty good. And maybe I had another one, every week. And then maybe I had my burgers with that, or whatever I have with that. And all this acid and mucus forming proteins and stuff. And every time my body goes, oh my God, I've got all this mucus that this food is causing, I'm having these cold and flu-like symptoms. In other words, I'm having symptoms that my body is trying to get rid of this mucus, but I'm not listening. I'm listening to medical doctors. So what I'm going to do is I'm suppressing, or even maybe naturopaths nowadays, who knows, sorry, it's a broad range of people that are stupid now with this sort of thinking. And instead of expectorating this mucus out, then I just kept taking antibiotics, and I didn't even let it run its course. Even my children, I stopped all their cold and flu-like symptoms. So I put mucus in, but I don't let it come out. Then it keeps shoving into the bronchial trunk. So from a sore throat, I would go into a little bronchitis. And then if I suppress that, then I go into a little pneumonia. And it's all mucus. Now, enter COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And that starts with asthma, emphysema, and then full-fledged COPD. Those are the people wearing the little oxygen, about 2 liters, blah, 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 blah. Well, the problem is that all that mucus that was shoved interstitially now becomes hardened. Because the more mucus becomes acidic, which that's the spaces it's in, mixed with cell waste, then this becomes acidic. It's a lipid fluid initially to keep itself alkaline. But as it picks up all the acids from the cells and it joins this, it becomes acid mucus and hardened and thickened. Well, the difference between just pneumonia, if that's all it was, you would have just pneumonia, different levels of pneumonia. But when you enter asthma up, the COPDs, that has one other factor, and I've talked about this before in other videos, and that one other factor is neurological. Because here we are at the solar plexus, stomach, the center of the autonomic nervous system, the autonomic ganglia controlled by the adrenal glands. When the adrenals are down, low blood pressure is seen, low myelin sheath performance, even myelin sheath decay, and low neural performance. That makes it hard to take a deep breath. It's hard to breathe. And that is neurological on top of congestion. So you have two problems, congestion and the nervous system. Big issue here. So you have to go after that nervous system. You have to go after the adrenals in all COPD cases. Yes, you still have to clean up the mucus, and that's not fun because you're going to go back through the cold and flu-like symptoms, the bronchitis and the pneumonias. You're going to go back through them. There's no way to stop that because all that mucus that you never let come out, you suddenly are awakened to the fact, no one told me. No one told me either. And so now we're telling you, oh, this stuff's got to come out. So again, that's why I do applaud the pharmaceutical company that came out with Mucinex. I do applaud that. I have to tell you that now somebody's starting to think. And that's where we have to start looking at. No harmful chemicals, but expectorants and things that truly work. And they're going to pull themselves back into botanical medicine, I'm going to tell you, because it is unreal what's going in pharmacology out there. It's just not even, man's just got numb. He doesn't see a remedy. Well, we're going to give him a remedy, aren't we? So that COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, I would do lungs number 2. I would drink 3 lung tea. On top of that, I'd go after my lymph system. I'd go just like the protocol. I'd take kidney number 1 liquid. I'd take kidney number 1 capsules, maybe 2-3 times a day. I think it'd be good for me. I would take lymphatic 1 capsules. I'd clean up my bowels and allow this to clean with it. Yeah, take maybe 3 times a day on that one. Do another lymphatic, maybe 4, or lymph nodes 2 with that. Parasite M just to clean out, the pneumococcus, that kind of crap. Remember, in pneumonia-type cases, pneumococcus is only present in 60% of the time, at least 40% of the cases. No pneumococcus present. Interesting. But anyway, it's all about the mucus. It's all about your body's immune/lymphatic system and its defense against acids for you. And the result of that, and we call that sputum or mucus. That's why Arnold Ehret's mucus diet healing system. All he saw was mucus whenever he detoxified people. Well, guess what? That's what we're talking to you about. See mucus. Well, where does this mucus come from? It's your lymph system. It's not your blood. It's your lymph system. Well, what is that lymph system? That's your main immune system. That's your protection. Your blood isn't so much your protection. It's your healers. So just keep that in mind, COPD. I hope I covered that enough for you there, my dear. But detoxify yourself. You're going to have to clean out the lungs. The sinuses are going to come. But at the same time, there's a neurological component. You can take the new brain and nerve formula to help to support that nervous system. Get your adrenals up. Big time. You probably have some high blood pressure. Get the kidneys cleaned out. Work on all that. Lately I've been waking up with swollen fingers. Ooh, I cannot put my ring on my finger in the morning and I can feel stiffness in my fingers. Well, that's your lymph system and you're holding a little water here. Now, you could hold water during detoxification, especially the more acidic you are. Some people actually gain weight during the initial phases of detoxification. Why? Because they're so acidic and the body's having this edemic experience for a form of balance and hydration. And it's common. I see this all the time, so that's probably what's happening. Think of monthly periods when you're having estrogen spikes, and that's acidic hit on the human body, you see a little edema. And you can get a little edema, but